Hey, games, services, and software are all pretty much out of whack for the same reason. Call it greed, call it capitalism, call it whatever you want, but it all essentially boils down to the same thing, which is optimizing cash flow. It's very easy to just take an entire organization and turn them into one monolithic person who's just a money grubber, but that's not exactly what's happening. But it's also not exactly wrong. And it's recently getting markedly worse, not only because there's more people out there who can consume technology, but also we're in the era of walled gardens. If you're a PC gamer, how many freaking launchers do you deal with on a daily basis? And how many of those launchers improve your experience? If you use social media, how many apps do you have installed that demand your personal information and constantly want to send you notifications? Now, this is all obviously related, and any reasonable person can look at this situation and be like, well, they just want money. But what's going on under the hood? And how, if at all, can we fix it? It essentially breaks down into three parts. First, a major investor or publishing company or whatever puts millions and millions, if not billions of dollars into a project. This happens at incredible scale to maximize the possibility of a return on investment. Two, the oversaturation of the existing market requires them to spend that much more money just to get your attention. And then three, it rolls over to being the fact that more money is being put into getting your attention than making a quality product. They want buyers and they have to pay for those buyers. And then they've got to squeeze as much money out of those buyers as possible to make up for the fact that they overinvested and the market is saturated. But at the end of the day, the joke is not on them, it's on us. They have so much astronomically more money than the consumers. We are the ones that have to deal with their problems. But let's zoom in a little bit into the actual process. How do we get to the point where a product gets so bad, so diluted from the user experience that it purported to provide, that we end up in this situation in the first place, despite the incredible amount of money that's flowing into these teams? In modern tech and game development, you have to prioritize everything to a ridiculous degree. Anything you do has to be proven that it's going to be worthwhile. You organize all of your tasks by the amount of value that they would produce compared to the amount of effort it would take to do, regardless of the importance of the outcome. That's actually not entirely true. Importance is relative, and what's important is making a return on investment. That's what businesses do. That is the purpose of a business. So hundreds, if not thousands of times per day, teams across entire companies will look at what needs to be done, look at all the user complaints, and look at everything that they've got in their bugs backlog and decide what's worth doing. Is a bug really annoying for your users, but it's not technically breaking anything? Well, that's going to get deprioritized. Or, yeah, we could build this in such a way that it will be stable in the long run, but it's a lot quicker to just get it done quick and dirty. Or, among the most upsetting, we need to make sure that our users check in every single day so our monthly active user count is high so that our investors will be happy, regardless of if they're actually providing value. Now, the obvious theme here is that these are inherently anti-user decisions. You're not the primary target of these decisions. The primary target is them and their investors. You're just a side effect. You're just a part of the equation. And unfortunately, it's even worse for power users and long-time users. They can count on your dollar. They don't need to optimize for you. It's the same reason that Nintendo doesn't invest in their esports scene. They know those people are going to be giving them money regardless. Why would they go for you? Now, if you're an economic hardliner, you could say, well, yeah, they took on the risk, so they're the ones that should get the reward. But I'm not concerned about risk and reward here. I'm concerned about quality of life and just general happiness. I think the people who have millions and billions to invest in projects that just extract more money are probably gonna be fine. But in the long run, we are taking a nosedive in the quality of our technology for end users. We are actively losing quality, and there's really no floor. They're going to go as far as they can go to minimize the amount of effort they need to get your money and maximize the amount of return that they can get. That's just how the market works. That's the end goal. There's no restriction there. And that is what we need. Policy. We need user-centric policy. We need rules on the books that protect your interests, because in the way that it's set up right now, your interests do not matter. And it's not even like, oh, you deserve to be coddled. It's just rights. It's mutual respect and equal footing. How many game companies have been like, oopsie doopsie, we accidentally made gambling with loot boxes, and they get in trouble and they have to pay some nominal fine. That same fine would financially ruin you and your family for generations, but to them, it's a fart in the wind. Pay a subscription fee to get access to a giant music library, and in turn, the artists get jack shit from those companies. But if you pirate anything, you're going to jail. So what can we do? Well, there's a few options, but None of them are perfect. One would be vote with your wallet, and that's the easy advice, right? Just simply pay the good people. Well, that's hard. There's not many good people, and you kind of have to participate. That's part of the problem. These companies get to shape the narrative. They choose what your office uses at work. They choose what your school uses for their internet infrastructure. They pay off politicians, and they have lobbyists, and they have massive amounts of lawyers to make sure that they stay on top. You're just some person. The next thing is demanding better policy. We are way behind, at least in the United States. I mean, the EU's a little better, but they're not perfect. We are way behind on actual policy for technology. Everything we have right now around policy in that space is still just company policy. It's what these massive corporations can do. How can they interact with their customers on a business level? It's not how does the technology need to be shaped to best support the users. We need the digital equivalent of a users union. We need to have a group that's fighting for us, actually fighting for us. We've got ostensibly entities that are supposed to do that, but I still get spam calls. I don't know about you. Man, the sun really came out. I gotta drop my ISO. Is it ISO or ISO? I'm gonna say ISO. Seeing how the magic happens. Check me out. Look at me. I'm so well defined now. Anyway, demand more from your leaders. Demand from your politicians that they take a firm stance. And I know that that's not gonna fix anything overnight. But if that's a guiding principle that we start to use as we're electing these people, and they do at least a little bit of good, maybe ever, so be it. So let's move on to more options. The best thing that I can recommend for you is to educate yourself on how to better use the internet, how these technologies actually work, such that you don't have to depend on these big tech companies anymore. One of the best things that you can do is learn more about how the internet works and learn more about how to take back control of your own digital footprint. Circumnavigate these companies entirely and get past the fact that they have built an entire internet around the fact that most of users don't know what they're doing and think that they have to use these companies, otherwise they're just completely dead in the water. And I want to be clear that it's not like every single person at every one of these companies is inherently evil. I work at these kinds of companies and I work with plenty of people, most people, who want to make a good thing for users, but ultimately our job is to make money. So to force the hands of these companies to make a better product, you need to give them a reason that they have to actually work to get your dollar, as opposed to just throw money at advertising until the narrative shifts enough that it's inherent that you would give them your dollar. Learn about these strategies, learn how you can find other ways to be on the internet and find replacements for the existing tools that you have. And I'm happy to discuss those more in the comments. If you have any questions about how can I do this or that online without having to use X or Y service, let's have a chat. Thanks for hanging out. I hope I sparked some interesting ideas. Please drop a like if you learned something. Take care and be well.